Now, we know now, and you can look at this later, that since 50 years, psychology has underestimated the intelligence of newborn babies. Newborn babies have what I call a motor intelligence. They have a total intentional and feelingful coordination of their body. And they are very sensitive to other people's expressions in their bodies. We now know, with the aid of modern technology, which means we can use four-dimensional ultrasound, that makes movies that are very accurate, and we can measure timing of movements and so on. Fetuses are beautifully coordinated from their first movements, and they can do intentional things like bringing their thumb up to their mouth, and as the thumb comes close to the mouth opens and they suck their thumb. It's all done with great efficiency and with intention. They also do some astonishing communications. First of all, we know that a baby learns the mother's voice before they're born to recognize her as an individual. They share all sorts of things, but the most astonishing discovery made by Nadia Riceland, a young woman who's been looking at these movies, she saw a fetus of a mother who was depressed touch its body with its left hand, comforting itself, when the mother was depressed. Now, we don't know how that is transmitted, but there is a feeling for the feeling in the mother's body, which the baby is trying to comfort by comforting itself. Now, we're born before the brain works at all, or before the brain is active. We have these organs which are specially human, and every single one of them is modified for the purposes of communication. Our hearing organs, inner ear, the semicircular canals of the inner ear, by the way, measure head movements. We have more complex head movements than any other animal, and we use them all the time. You can't speak without making nods of your nose which fit the syllables of what you're saying. And you always do, you animate yourself with head movements. Very strange. Our eyes are the only ones of primates with white scleras. We can tell exactly where someone's looking. If I look at the people in the front row, and if you're looking at me, I know, or if you're looking at my ear, I know you're not paying attention. That subtle movement is a very important signal. We have mouth already starting to develop characteristics which are special, not for eating, but for speaking. And the same, the hand is made it to be moved in a field which is gestural for other people to see. And then, of course, we can dance with our feet. Now, this is what mother-infant interaction looks like within the first few weeks after birth. It is extremely complex in both the mother and the baby, and it's very efficient between them. This is what a baby looks like 57 minutes after birth. She's resting on her father's arm, and she's showing an intense focus on her mother, who's taking a picture, with her eyes coordinated beautifully with white scleras, with her mouth making an attention movement, a little like I wonder what's that movement. Her head is turned towards her mother, and her left hand is making a gesture. This total coordination of a person was missed by medicine, biomedical research and medical treatment of newborn babies until in the 1960s, Barry Brazelton, a professor, a pediatrics doctor, started showing newborn babies to their parents as soon as they were born and showing that they were people. And parents immediately were thrilled because that's what they believed. And this totally transformed pediatrics. Ever since then, pediatrics all over the world has treated newborn babies as if they're human beings. I mean, able to perceive other people, able to be expressive like this. On day 4, Ava is lecturing her grandmother. She's making a gesture very like St. John the Baptist, a famous drawing by Leonardo, where he's going like that. This is the same gesture made with the right hand for a 4-day-old baby to the grandmother. And look how intensely interested the grandmother is. The baby's clearly telling her something. This is Ava when she's 2 years old, and she's already now running around and a very, very exuberant toddler. Her brother is more sober. He's a 5-year-old. He's more serious. but they're great friends. And here they are travelling from France, from Paris, where they live, to London, and they're at Trafalgar Square. And she seems to think the whole thing's a big joke. And she is already speaking French and English. Now, this is a baby. I want to emphasize the baby's effort, interest, and capability as a communicator without any instruction or training, just from within its own human nature. This 10-week-old New Zealander is lecturing her mother, and I mean lecturing. Here's the mother's nose, and all the mother does in this while the baby is lecturing is she nods, and she occasionally makes sounds like, oh, oh. Well, we've done a plot of that, and I'll just run through it and then I'll play it again. In the first phrase, she utters 5 sounds, which come out like words. And the 5th one, she says something she should not do at that age. She goes da. She uses a consonant. She puts her lips and tongue together in front of her mouth and says da, da. Then the mother makes a couple of small sounds, and in the next phrase, the baby shouts quite loud a couple of times, very rhythmically, and then the mother makes a couple of sounds. In the final section, the baby says very insistently, twice, listen to me, and then she goes very quiet, and her eyebrows go up. She says, did you get it? And then the mother says this sound down here, which is da. She learned to speak by imitating the baby. Now I'll play it all again so that you can hear that. Watch the emotional intensity and the curious questioning at the end. This is a story or a lecture. This is a piece of information, very important information, that the baby is telling the mother, and she wants to make sure that the mother gets it. All right. Now, we can analyze that in detail, and we find that the expression is completely appropriate. The loudness of the voice, the softness of the voice, the timing is completely appropriate for a series of phrases with timing of words and with the intention to pass a message on to somebody else that they have to listen to, and with a reflection on it at the end, asking, did you get it? And that is absolutely, that is the outline of a piece of musical performance. A short piece within a musical performance will have that phrasing.